Peace. Quick think fast. Don't judge yourself at how you spend energy. Whether you spend it from an aspect of emotion, like you're expressing emotion, that's energy in motion. And it could be negative and negative or positive, but don't judge it. And don't judge the way you spend energy from a financial aspect, because money is energy. Is all it is energy, and it's represented by some paper dollars. But don't judge yourself, like even if you spent out of your budget, or you spend some energy spontaneously, aka some money, you spend some energy spontaneously, or you spend some energy outside of your budget. you know Make sure you're not judging yourself for that. And in those moments when you catch yourself, being judgmental, because basically you're being judgmental by labeling something good or bad, right or wrong. So the moment, we go to that aspect of like, oh, that was bad, that was a bad way to spend some energy, you know, it's like, no, it wasn't, the way you, express that energy, or let out that energy was the way you let out that energy. It was no good, bad, right or wrong. Realize like, I no longer want to judge the way I, spend my energy. It's an affirmation that you could use, to help yourself, be at peace with that. Uh, I always go to the aspect of too, like giving yourself a hug, like in your, basically in the astral planes or in your imagination, visualize yourself, you know, whether you just spent some energy in some way, form, or fashion, whether that be again like in a quote unquote negative emotion, because in most cases we'll judge those, uh, or if you like again like you spend some funds on something, some energy financially on something, see yourself at the cashier at the desk, and then after giving away the energy or the money, like see your another version of yourself walk up to yourself and hug yourself. But in any way, form, or fashion, making peace with that aspect, like integrating that aspect of, again, you are a whole being. Sometimes your actions line up on the quote unquote negative side or the quote unquote positive side, but neither one good or bad. Not just because there is a, polarities, like polarities is not judgment. Like say for instance, just because I say that water is hot or that water is cold, that's not a judgment. That water is hot and that water is cold. You know, there is a polarity in temperatures for water, but if I go to say, oh, hot water is good and cold water is bad, that's where the judgment come in. So making sure that, we're not, again, judging these aspects, like no matter what I spend my money on, you know what I'm saying? Like it is all, a part of the dance, you know, like because as much as we doing this talk about destiny, you know, we got to make sure we're not getting too caught up in the future and too caught up in the outcome, and more so just be now to the fullest. Like set your intentions right now with no preconceived notion, like, no expectations, no agenda of what you feel, how it should go down, like trying to see how the circumstances gonna be. Like, nah, just be, now to the fullest, you know what I'm saying? Like, and again, not being like worried about the future aspects. Is like, again, the dance, like not trying to see, shout out to Alan Watts. I heard him make this analogy before. Like, you dancing on the floor. It's not about like what, like trying to see like, all right, where I'm gonna end up. You and somebody dancing. It ain't trying to always see like, all right, where we gonna end up, like in the destination at the end of this dance. Because while you trying to pay attention and worry about, you know, the destination, you're not into your moment dancing. You know what I'm saying? Like, be fully in your moment dancing, or again, or in the expression of life, and you'll be wherever you should be. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the destiny. It's like, us just being in our moments to the fullest, you know what I'm saying? Like expressing ourselves, authentically, expressing ourselves authentically, and again, and being in our moment to the fullest, because our now moment creates our future, our quote unquote destination, but it's from us fully being in our moment, and if we're in situations that, our now moment where we feel like we don't want to be in, all right, cool, accept what is, because you are where you are in that moment. You can't change that. From that moment, you realize it's like, all right, I am where I am, even though I don't want to be here. But from this now moment, you could, be fully engaged in activities that'll help change, you know, where you at. If you're not feeling the vibe of where you at in your now moment, still using the now to move, but it's from that now and not, again, not too far in the future, not too far in the past. Yeah, we could peek into the past and peek into the future, but it's about right now. Hence, like with the past, not dwelling on it so much as far as like, you know, uh certain little works of like past life and stuff like that. We want to tap into it, but not to the point where we're just always focusing on the problem and not the solutions, or like focusing on, oh, I went through this trauma, that trauma. And again, it's a balance, because you don't want to try to rush through working on anything, because it'll reoccur if you don't get it, as far as like healing that energy. But again, it comes from, again, like being fully engaged in our now moment. And where I started, not being judgmental towards the way you spend energy. Because I just caught myself, like I made an investment slash, got myself a gift. And again, we had a subconscious program, a subconscious trauma, which I remind you is not to blame on our parents, our upbringing, because as souls, we chose to come up in, whatever state, city, neighborhood, whatever parents, whatever circumstances we dealt with, is all of our own bringing. But with the subconscious programming you may get from childhood of like, oh, you shouldn't have spent no money on that. You could have got you the cheaper brand, or why you gonna spend money on this? Like, and say for instance, sometimes why that it's hard to let go of those things, because we've been taught to see logically in that manner. We're like, oh well, I can see why I shouldn't have spent no money on that, and I can't. But remembering that's shaping your subconscious, and that's continuously keeping you in that aspect of judging, again, the way you spending your energy. And again, I'm more so speaking on the financial aspect, but again, like even with emotions, like, you know, for myself, realizing again how much all emotions, all feelings, and I even had to realize, even hate, is a valid emotion or a valid feeling. Just with any of these emotions, not letting it get to a place where it's expressed in a manner that does harm to ourselves and others. But allow for it to come up, because if it comes up, or if it exists or is allowed to exist, that is a valid emotion, point blank, period. You know, it's for us to realize the balance in, having a healthy expression of these, you know, uh, of these feelings. And I mean, and if you have an unhealthy expression, it is what it is. But again, like, uh, for our expression of it to be coherent with ourselves and our environment, in that sense of it. But yeah, again, like not judging, like, all right, you may have like spent like you took a risk, and let's say risk for lack of a better word, because a risk not even technically a risk in that sense of it. But anyway, like you take a risk and you purchase something spontaneously, that takes away some type of savings, but then whatever it is that you spent money on after, you just kind of just like, oh well, it is what it is. Then you see that that tool or whatever it was really important, and then you on the back end, somebody or something end up coming up where you get some more funds to come in or whatever, but more so because you trusted and you wasn't constantly judging yourself off of like, oh man, I spent that energy, like it's like it is what it is, with the way we spend our energy, you know, and again, not having any judgment. So again, like, hey, I'm no longer judging myself for the way I, express my energy, and I forgive myself for any past judgments that I might have made on the way I spend energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, a lot of that's the work in essence. Like, again, like talking with ourselves, the inner dialogue, asking questions, talking to ourselves and having intention without expectations. Because even when we're asking questions and doing the inner dialogue, we can't expect to get an answer when we feel we should get an answer. It's going to come to us in the moment when we're open to the path of least resistance. Whenever we're energetically open to receiving that message, that's when it comes in, you know, like there's no forcing it at all, at all. So, just with that aspect again, just remember, and that's on all levels, to not be judgmental again towards anything. I I spoke a while back. I did a think fast on how being judgmental towards food is what creates indecisiveness when making choices, because you're judging one food is bad and one food is good. You know, you could still, again, and within what you're eating, still be able to choose what you want. Because again, it's not my job to tell you how to eat and how to live. We express certain aspects of, hey, this is something that vibrates on this level. This is something that vibrates on this level. But at the end of the day, it's what's best for you. You know what I'm saying? And again, instead of like viewing a food as bad or good, it's like this type of fuel and that type of fuel. This type of fuel does this type of fuel does that. Neither one good or bad, right or wrong. Different fuels, like fuels for your vehicle, give off a different energy. Like Supreme has a certain way it interface with vehicles energetically, and Unleaded has a certain way it interface with vehicles, energetically. Like choose the one that's best for whatever you're dealing with in your now moment. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you feel is best for your now moment. You know, whatever allows for you to feel fulfilled in this lifetime and feel like you're, aligning with, you know, the truest aspect of your soul, and go with that. Like that's another thing too. It's not for us to be, necessarily telling each other how to live in that sense. You know, like I'm just expressing it. I'm not expressing and say, hey, you should eat like this or you should be like this. You know, now again, expressing the awareness of no judgment, but even with that, I'm not telling you, hey, you have to not judge yourself, like, and you better not judge yourself, like how I'm saying. Like, no shit, it's up to you. It's an option that helps for you to, you know, again, pull yourself out of the dual nature that, that we end up creating in our subconscious, and again creating these situations because our emotions, again, comes from a thought, where like we have a certain thought of like, oh man, this food is bad. So when we grab it, that emotion of like, oh, like you feel like I'm doing something wrong. Your emotions in essence is tied to your subconscious programming, and hence why the moon again is so like instrumental, and just the energy that it represents is the subconscious and the emotions, basically the like two of the main things that deal with, whether you incarnate, whether you reincarnate or transition into a, a different realm, that's one of the main aspects is emotions and subconscious. And then off of what you know, put in your subconscious and, you know, like again, and what programming and breaking yourself out of duality that creates your type of emotional reactions, and then that also creates how you maneuver through this realm with your actions, and aka cause and effect, or karma, and back to the Saturn aspect as well. That's how that gets interweaved in there. And your moon energy is about magic, because again, it's like the subconscious mind and the emotions, and When we visualizing something, you know, we give off the emotion, like we have a feeling when we view, having that relationship we really dreamed of, or having that home we really dreamed of, or having that, you know, helping the dolphins like we really dreamed of, or fucking, whatever it is for you that floats your boat in this, in this moment, you know. But yeah, basically, yeah, that's it. At least for and just remembering to be in our moment to the fullest. There's no rush, no shortcuts, and also, you know, no procrastination as well. And to each his own. Because again, like, we go through, you know, might have a little level of procrastination come up, but you catch yourself and you balance yourself in the middle. Or you might have a little bit of like catching yourself like trying to rush, but then you bring yourself back in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's to each his own on how you could deal with your pendulum swinging. If you could handle it swinging way over here and knowing it's gonna swing way back this way, that's up to you. You know, but just understanding, that whole aspect. But yeah, that's basically it. Again, no judgment. Like, oh man, that food bad, this food good. So sitting there spinning like all kind of, cause something got it to where, or like within you where you want to get this, but it doesn't have as much vitamin A and C as this right here. Go with what you're feeling in the moment, because you'll realize as you do, say for instance, go with a few that give off a certain vibration that may be more acidic. And again, no judgment toward acidic, but it's, acidic is just a certain energy, like hot or cold, you know. And if I'm balancing the waters in my body, let's just say to be in between, not too far hot, not too far cold, same thing with acid alkalinity. If you happen to like just go with the flow of getting like a acidic fuel, eventually it's gonna come around where the first choice and first vibe you're gonna connect with another time gonna be the the food with the fuel with the alkalinity in it. And again, you'll start to develop a habitual nature, triple H, habitual healthy habits, you know, uh having that pedigree of not even, what I'm saying, like getting in that nature of, again, like not judging and not worrying about it, so you're able to, move with a more of a flow. And that's something I've been through firsthand. So, within my own journey, I see where a lot of that has to deal with judgment. Matter of fact, this is no judgment day. Like they had judgment day, this is no judgment day. Like we gotta stop judging ourselves. Stop judging ourselves. The tales from the crypt. Okay, that's basically it, y'all. Now is the vibrate, loving our moment. You know, it's not about speeding up our growth. You know, and it's not about procrastinating either. Everything is balanced, harmonized, and integrated. Peace, peace. Happy now. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now. Now is the only thing that exists.